Don't freak out, I lost your laptop. My ex borrowed it for something. The words appeared on my phone like a flashing red warning. I stared at the screen, frozen, my coffee trembling in my hand. My name is Maya Collins, and the man who had just sent that text, my boyfriend, Liam Harper, was the person I trusted with more than just my heart. I trusted him with my work, my projects, my private life, and now, apparently, my laptop. We had been together for 3 years. Our relationship, in the eyes of friends and family, was solid, fun dates, late-night conversations, and shared ambitions. But beneath the surface, Liam had a habit of doing things impulsively, or at least, that's what he said. I had laughed off the small red flags, secretive phone calls, sudden meetups with friends he never introduced me to, and the occasional vague excuses about why he couldn't text back for hours. But this? Losing my laptop and casually letting his ex borrow it was another level. I texted back quickly, trying to mask the panic in my fingers. Wait, what? My laptop? Why would your ex? Before I could finish, another message popped up. It's fine, she needed it for a project. Nothing important on there, right? Chill. Chill. The word hung in the air like a dare. I felt a cold pit form in my stomach. Liam sat across from me, casually scrolling through his phone, sipping his soda, and grinning as if this were all normal. I wanted to ask questions, demand explanations, but something about his calm demeanor made me hesitate. It didn't feel right, but it didn't feel entirely dangerous either. Yet. A small voice in my head whispered, why her? Why your ex? He had never introduced her to me, never mentioned her in passing except when framing her as just a friend from college. And suddenly, my personal laptop, full of private documents, personal photos, and sensitive work files, was in the hands of someone who had once been close to him in a completely different way. I tried to shake the feeling off, telling myself I was overthinking. Maybe it was innocent. Maybe Liam was just being careless. But a nagging unease crawled under my skin, like a shadow lurking just beyond the warm glow of our cozy living room. I sipped my coffee, my fingers curling around the mug, and watched him laugh at something on his phone. The text blinked on my screen again, mocking me, chill, nothing important. And yet, I couldn't. Something about that casual dismissal didn't sit right. Something about the ease with which he handed my private world over to someone from his past set off every alarm in my mind. For the first time in months, I realized, Liam wasn't just careless. He might be hiding something. And I was about to find out exactly what. The days after Liam's text felt strange. I tried to brush it off, telling myself I was overreacting. Maybe it was innocent. But subtle things started stacking up, little red flags I could no longer ignore. First, there were the phone calls. Liam would step out of the room, speaking softly, lowering his voice whenever I walked by. At first, I thought it was work, he was busy, I told myself, but the tone didn't sound professional. It was private. Secretive. And every time I asked who he was talking to, he smiled and said, just a friend. Don't worry about it. Then came the favoritism. When we went out with friends, he would laugh a little too easily at stories that reminded him of his past. He would reference inside jokes I didn't understand, jokes I realized were probably from his time with his ex. And somehow, he always made me feel like I was overthinking, like my insecurities were the problem. Money, too, became a quiet battlefield. Liam insisted on helping with certain purchases, but small discrepancies appeared, a receipt here, a charge there, things that seemed unaccounted for. When I questioned it, he reassured me with that confident smile, it's nothing, Maya. You worry too much. And then there were the lies. Little things, small half-truths about where he had been or who he had seen. He would claim meetings or errands, yet occasionally, I'd notice contradictions, messages, overlooked details, or timing that didn't add up. It wasn't concrete proof, just enough to make my stomach twist with doubt. The emotional strain was almost unbearable. I loved him deeply, but every encounter, every glance, every word started to carry a hidden weight. I found myself second-guessing myself constantly. Was I being paranoid? Was this normal? Or was something darker lurking beneath the surface? One night, as I worked on a project in my apartment, Liam leaned over my shoulder, his phone buzzing in his pocket. He glanced at it, then quickly silenced it. "It's nothing," he said with a grin, as if dismissing my suspicion could erase the tension in my chest. But it didn't. I couldn't shake the nagging feeling that I was missing something, that I was being manipulated, quietly, subtly. My trust, which had once been absolute, now wavered with every secretive glance and casual dismissal. I had no proof yet, nothing concrete, only hints, a trail of breadcrumbs leading somewhere I didn't want to go, but couldn't ignore. And deep down, I knew that when the truth came out, it wouldn't just be about a lost laptop. It would be about everything Liam had tried to hide, everything I had blindly believed, and everything that had been quietly taken from me. Something told me this was only the beginning. The betrayal hit me like a lightning strike, sudden, brutal, and impossible to ignore. It started innocently enough. I decided to check my laptop, just to make sure nothing had been tampered with. I logged in and froze. My files were gone, documents, photos, personal projects, everything. At first, I thought it was a mistake, a glitch. But then I noticed the shared cloud folders. Someone had accessed them, downloaded them, and deleted my original work. And that's when I saw it, a folder labeled for Liam's ex. I clicked on it, and there it was. Screenshots of my private messages, drafts of work I'd never published, even personal journals. My intellectual property, my creative life, my personal thoughts, all in the hands of someone from his past. And every file was marked with her initials, SK. A sinking feeling overtook me. My boyfriend, my trusted Liam, had let his ex borrow my laptop. But it wasn't just borrowing. He had handed over my private life for her use. He had enabled her to go through my personal and professional world without my consent. I couldn't breathe. Heartbreak and disbelief crashed through me in waves. Every laugh we shared, every promise he made, every trust me I had accepted suddenly felt like a lie. I had trusted him with my heart and my work, and he had betrayed both. Rage followed closely behind the heartbreak. I wanted to scream. To throw things. To confront him, to demand answers, to make him feel even a fraction of the violation I felt. But more than that, I wanted him to understand the weight of what he had done. The invasion of trust, the complete disregard for my boundaries. Liam noticed my silence. He looked up from his phone, grinning. "It's fine, Maya. Chill. She just needed it for a project. You're overthinking this." Overthinking. That word slammed into me harder than any insult could. He had reduced my anger, my pain, my violation, into a problem of me. Not him. Not his betrayal. Me. I clenched my fists, my mind racing. There had to be a way to make him see. Not just see, but feel the consequences. This wasn't just a mistake. It wasn't an accident. He had deliberately put my private life into someone else's hands. And I realized something crucial in that moment. I couldn't let him walk away unscathed. I couldn't allow this betrayal to remain hidden or minimized. So I did what I do best, I started planning. He thought he was in control. He thought I would sit quietly, hurt and confused. But Liam had no idea what I was capable of when pushed to the edge. The woman who had been blindsided, violated, and manipulated was about to take back everything he thought he had stolen. And he wouldn't see it coming that night. I sat in my apartment, staring at the empty desk where my laptop once lay. The room felt smaller, heavier, as if the walls themselves were pressing in with the weight of betrayal. My hands trembled, not just from anger, but from the disbelief that the person I loved could betray me so completely. For hours, I replayed every interaction, every excuse, every casual smile he had given me over the past months. It all clicked together like pieces of a puzzle I hadn't wanted to see. The secret phone calls, the sudden borrowing of my things, the dismissive words when I questioned him, everything pointed to a pattern. And in that painful clarity, a spark ignited. I realized that I had two choices: sink into heartbreak, or turn my anger into action. For too long, I had allowed my trust to be exploited. I had allowed someone else to manipulate my life and my work. But now, hurt had transformed into resolve. The woman who had been blindsided was no longer helpless. The trigger came when I remembered one of the files on the laptop, a draft of a project I had been planning for months, an idea I had never shared publicly. It wasn't just work, it was mine, my intellectual property, the manifestation of my creativity and effort. And Liam had casually handed it to his ex. That's when I knew I couldn't just confront him. Confrontation would give him a chance to lie, to spin the narrative, to avoid accountability. No. I needed a plan, a precise, undeniable, public demonstration of the truth. I stood up and walked to the window, watching the city lights shimmer in the distance. The cold night air felt electrifying, as if it carried a message: you are stronger than the person who tried to undermine you. I would reclaim what was mine. I would expose the deception. And I would do it in a way that left no room for manipulation, no chance for him to escape. Every heartbeat sharpened my focus. I wasn't just fighting back for myself, I was fighting back for every boundary he had crossed, every lie he had told, every moment he had tried to erase me from my own life. The hurt had not disappeared, but it had transformed. Anguish became strategy. Disbelief became vigilance. Heartbreak became determination. Tomorrow, I would begin the work of taking back control, documenting everything, gathering proof, and setting the stage for the reckoning he had never imagined. Liam had assumed I was passive, that I would quietly accept his betrayal. He was wrong. And I had never felt more alive. I didn't confront Liam. Not yet. Instead, I let him believe everything was fine. I answered his texts normally. I laughed at his jokes. I even thanked him, calmly, for trying to get my laptop back. His shoulders relaxed. His confidence returned. He thought the storm had passed. That was my first advantage. Step 1: secure the proof. I contacted my cloud service provider and requested a full access log. Dates, IP addresses, downloads, deletions, everything. When the report arrived, my hands shook, not from fear, but from validation. There it was in black and white, multiple logins from a location tied to his ex, Sophie. Files accessed. Files copied. Files deleted. Next, I documented everything. Screenshots. Timestamps. Backup drives. I created 3 copies and stored them in different places. Liam had already proven how careless he could be with my property. I wouldn't make the same mistake. Step 2: let him keep lying. I casually asked, "Any update on my laptop?" He shrugged. "Sophie's busy. She'll drop it off soon. You're stressing for nothing." Perfect. Every lie added weight to what I already had. I saved those messages too. Step 3: set the trap. I pretended I was worried about one specific file, a project draft I claimed was unfinished and useless. I mentioned it casually, almost dismissively. That night, I noticed new activity on my cloud account. Someone opened that exact file. Someone who shouldn't even have known it existed. They took the bait. Step 4: expose the motive. A quick search confirmed my suspicion. Sophie had recently launched a freelance page, offering services shockingly similar to my stolen work. Same language. Same structure. Same ideas. My ideas. Liam hadn't just let her borrow my laptop. He had enabled her to steal from me. And still, he acted untouchable. He joked about plans, talked about the future, and rolled his eyes whenever I asked questions. "You're being dramatic, Maya," he said one night, completely unaware that every word was being archived. That arrogance fueled me. I reached out quietly to a legal advisor, not to act yet, but to prepare. I wanted to understand my options, the consequences, the leverage. Knowledge became my armor. By the end of the week, my plan was clear. I didn't need to scream. I didn't need to beg. I just needed the right moment, one where Liam couldn't dodge, deny, or gaslight his way out. He thought he was still in control. He thought I had let it go. What he didn't realize was this: I wasn't planning a fight. I was planning an exposure. And very soon, the man who told me don't freak out was going to understand exactly what panic feels like when the truth finally comes due. The moment I chose wasn't loud. It was public. Liam had invited friends over for a casual Friday night: pizza, drinks, laughter. Sophie was there too. He didn't even ask me first. When I walked in and saw her sitting on my couch, using my throw blanket, something inside me went cold and clear. Perfect. Everyone was relaxed. Comfortable. Liam had his arm around Sophie's shoulder, acting like nothing was wrong, like I was the unreasonable one for ever being upset. He looked completely in control. That's when I stood up. "I actually have something to share," I said, holding my phone loosely in my hand. My voice didn't shake. That surprised even me. Liam frowned. "Maya, not now." I connected my phone to the TV. The screen lit up instantly. First appeared the cloud access logs. Dates. Times. Locations. Highlighted. Then screenshots of deleted folders. Then messages, Liam's messages, saying she won't notice and use whatever you need. The room went silent. Sophie's face drained of color. "That's not," I swiped again. Her freelance page appeared on the screen. Side by side with my original drafts. Same phrasing. Same structure. Same ideas. Even the same typos. "You didn't just borrow my laptop," I said calmly. "You stole my work." Liam stood up fast. "This is insane. You're embarrassing me." "No," I replied. "I'm documenting you." I revealed the final blow, an email already sent to the platforms hosting Sophie's work, to Liam's employer, whose devices he'd accessed my files from, and to my lawyer. A cease and desist notice. A formal complaint. And a demand for financial compensation. Phones buzzed around the room. Friends checked notifications. Someone whispered, "Oh my God." Sophie grabbed her bag and rushed for the door. Liam followed her halfway, then stopped when he realized everyone was staring at him. His confidence cracked. "Maya, please, let's talk." "I tried," I said softly. "You told me not to freak out." By the end of the night, Sophie's freelance pages were taken down. Liam's job placed him on immediate review for data misuse. And every single person in that room knew exactly who he was. As they left, awkward, silent, avoiding eye contact, I sat back down on the couch, heart pounding, hands steady. He had thought losing my laptop was no big deal. He had thought borrowing, stealing, minimizing would protect him. Instead, it exposed him. The man who told me to chill had just watched his life implode, one screenshot at a time. And for the first time since that text message appeared on my phone, the morning after the showdown, the apartment felt lighter, almost surreal. The tension that had hung over me for weeks was gone. Liam's arrogance, Sophie's schemes, they were both neutralized, exposed to the world and everyone who mattered. Emails confirming the removal of Sophie's stolen work lit up my inbox. Notifications from Liam's employer showed investigations had begun. Messages of support and disbelief flooded in from friends, family, and colleagues who had witnessed the reveal or followed the story online. My private nightmare had become public validation. I sipped my coffee and glanced at the empty living room. For months, I had felt powerless, betrayed, manipulated, and violated. But now, every trace of that fear had transformed into strength. I had reclaimed my life, my work, and my dignity. And the irony? The very laptop he lost and lent had become the key to his downfall. I smiled, remembering his smug face when he texted me, "Don't freak out." He had been so confident, so untouchable. And now, he was the one scrambling, humiliated, exposed, and stripped of the control he so arrogantly assumed he had over me. I had learned something important: strength doesn't come from anger or confrontation alone, it comes from strategy, patience, and turning betrayal into power. I wasn't just free. I was respected, wiser, and unstoppable. To anyone watching this, have you ever trusted someone completely, only to be blindsided by their lies? Have you ever felt invisible while someone else manipulated your life behind your back? Share your experiences in the comments. Your story matters, and together, we reclaim our voices. And if you want more stories of justice, empowerment, and turning betrayal into strength, hit subscribe, because the truth always finds a way to surface. As for Liam and Sophie, they learned the hard way that betrayal has consequences. The woman they tried to deceive didn't just survive. She rose, prepared, and struck with precision. The poetic justice? He had taken my laptop thinking it was power over me. It wasn't. It was the weapon I used to take back everything he thought he could steal. And in the end, the one who tried to erase me was the one completely erased, not by force, but by the truth. He borrowed my laptop to control my life. Instead, it became the instrument of his downfall. And I became unstoppable.